Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again with yet more deck techs, and this week we're kicking off with, well, you know what you're here for, Hylda of the Icy Crown. 2 white and blue for a 3/4 legendary creature human warlock, and whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, you can pay 1, so it's an additional cost. And when you do, choose one. Create a 4/4 white and blue elemental creature token. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, or scry 2, then draw a card. Yep, it is that good in this land. And it's just fantastic. I've really enjoyed playing against this. I've played against it a couple of times now on the stream. I've even played against it a little bit outside of the stream when I've been, practicing and checking the decks out. And yeah, Hylda is kind of starting to get there as a new blue-white control deck. So this is my take, and it looks very much like this. As usual, start with a wonderful land base, and it's just blue and white lands all the way through. We have got nothing of any real interest. I mean, there's Temple of the False God Reliquary Towers here. Rivendale's come in just so we can do a bit of scrying if we've got a legendary creature, which we should have if we get really stuck. But beyond that, it's just very basically, and it's 37 lands. So yeah, okay. Ramp wise, Tantalite, Talisman. We've got the Jeweled Lotus in here just in case we can get Hylda down on turn 1 or turn 2, which is really nice. Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, and that's really it. We've gone fairly heavy on the ramp because you want to have mana available to pay the 1 as much as possible. Now, you can't go even further. You can take out some of the other cards I've got down here, but I think they're worth having in at the moment. I really do. I mean, we could also count the Pearl Medallion and the Sapphire Medallion as ramp if you want to, just so you can get Hylda down even quicker and pay for some of the other spells quicker. Path to Exile's here, so targeted, a bit of targeted removal, a bit of preordain action again, just to do the whole scry and draw one, because I think I'm starting to get on track of the fact that when I'm playing blue, I should be playing preordain in most of the commander decks instead of some of the other cards I randomly put in. So if you're watching any of my older videos where I've got playing blue cards and I haven't got preordain in, take preordain and put it in, change it. Beyond that, we've got some tappers. So I've got Binding Mage in here. We've got Pressure Point to tap creatures down and draw a card. Just remember that what you want to do, especially with things like Binding Mage, Pressure Point, Whipcorder that we're coming to, well, this here now, Venerate, Impede and Momentum, all these ones that tap things down, and it's the same for the other cards we go through. You've got to increase their casting costs really by 1, or their activation costs by 1 each time, because you want to be either doing one of these 3 things. Now, I've seen people do the whole 4/4 white and blue elemental creature token thing. I've seen people do the +1/+1 counter thing. And I've seen other people go, I'm just going to draw and scry through my entire deck until I find my win conditions. But that's because they have got a lot of mana floating around. I mean, there is an argument, and I will be honest, that we can drop some of the cards I've got on the deck, like Jace Belren, and go up to 38, 39, even 40 lands, just so we can make sure we've got that spare mana there to tap stuff out with. So just bear that in mind when I'm talking about these tapping cards all the way through this deck tech. Increase their cost or their activation value by 1, just so you can get the benefits. Anyway, enough of that lecture. Counter spells here, mana drains here, just to give us a little bit of control. And one thing I haven't seen many people play, I actually don't think I've seen anyone play it at all, is Azorius Guildmage. A white and 2, or white and 3 if you want to get your benefit from here. Just taps the creature down, and you don't have to tap the Guildmage to have this activate, which makes it so much better. Just bear that in mind as we're playing, going through, if you decide to go down this route. Solitary Sanctuary taps a creature, puts a stun counter on it, and whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you do control, so it makes your stuff bigger. Stall for time, puts a couple of stun counters and you get a card draw. If you kick it, or if you just tap 2 target creatures and draw a card for 3 mana, that's fine. Admittedly, Stall for Time would cost you 5 mana if you have Harder out, or 8 mana if you want to do 7 mana. Sorry if you do the kicker as well, so bear that. But there's a reason we've got As Foretold in this deck, and this is the reason. We want to get this kind of set on 2 and 3 for most of the time. Well, 3 potentially, just to make sure we can tap our opponent's stuff down easier. And then you can keep it sitting there. You don't have to put a counter on it, but as soon as you get there, you may pay 0 rather than the mana cost of a spell you cast with mana value X or less. So, you know, that's all good. Bear it in mind. So it gives you another way of make sure you've got the mana floating around to activate Hylda. The Queen of Ice is here because I thought we must have another one of the Eldraine cards in from the original Eldraine set. Rhystic Study, I think I've said it a couple of times now. My blue decks now I own one. I actually own two, so I drafted one the other day. But anyway, you'll see Rhystic Study turning up my blue decks. Again, if you're playing in real life, this is a card you can cut and put something else in if you don't own one. So better that going. Jace Beleren, because Party Jace is still here, but this is the card you could take out to put an extra land in. Rebuff, just to make sure we can tap 2 target creatures. Celestial Regulator is also here. Just another 2/3 flyer, which is quite nice with all the +1/+1 counters you can particularly push around and get in the air and kill things, so keep it going. I had to have the Crown in here. It is quite nice. Tap a target creature and costs 1 to do that, or doesn't cost anything if we do it during our turn if we need to punch through. Puppet Strings, might as well have this in as well. 3 mana, get one of the 2 mana to tap or untap something. Add 1 mana to get one of these benefits, and the same with Staff of Domination, although the staff's a little bit different. You get to pay 1 mana just untap it, 2 mana tap it to gain a life, so you get a little bit of life gain. It's 4 mana to tap target creature, which is expensive when you're trying to do 5 for Hylda as well, but 5 mana to tap and draw a card isn't too bad if it's repeatable from my point of view. But yeah, anyway. Akroma's Will makes an appearance just to make sure we can keep everything alive and the creatures we have. Anointed Processions here just to double up on some of the tokens we may be making from Hylda. We have got one other big token maker that does help us. Rona is here with his partner Timin over here, so we get a tap every turn on the combat. This gets bigger, we get maybe a creature as well. Ogetize Exemplars, just cast a non-creature spell, we get to tap something. Just remember, if you cast something like Pressure Point, you need an extra 2 mana to make sure you get the benefits from here. Fate Stitcher just comes in and taps or untaps things at just a tap cost. And Thassa Deep Dwelling is also here. 4 mana, tap another target creature. And we get to exile and bring things in and out, which can be quite helpful sometimes, so bear that in mind. Dungeon Geist, just tap something when it comes into play. Niblis of Frost is also here. Instant or sorcery spell, when we cast one, we get to tap something, it doesn't untap. Opposition. Opposition is good. Yeah, I like Opposition, especially in this deck. I've got a Dominaria remastered one here because it was the cheapest one. And there are some cheaper ones even now if you haven't got one already. But, if you're creating 4/4s and you've got mana kicking around, you can just keep tapping lots of things down and creating more 4/4s or more +1/+1 counters because of Opposition. Not the worst plan. Tempest Caller taps everything an opponent controls. Now, it's only one opponent because this is old school Ixalan card. But if you've got a creature an opponent who's going for the swarm side of things, getting this in play, tapping their entire board down, and then getting a whole load of +1/+1 counters, scries, or 4/4s is actually really quite good. Same with Cryptic Command. You can tap all creatures your opponents control, and if you've got the mana kicking around, you get so many 4/4s, it's silly. Ogetize Command is here just to gain a little bit of life and counter a creature spell. A lot of the times we may be returning it's going to be these last 3. You haven't really got anything that costs 2 or less apart from sort of Binding Mage or Whipcord if they get killed off. But the life gain, the countering a target creature spell or drawing card is always good. Had to have Sharirin as Hylda's Prodigy, so Sharia's here as well just to help us draw cards when we tap stuff down. And Teferi, who slows the sunset, doing the +1. You get to untap our permanents and tap our opponent's permanents and get to gain a couple of life. So yeah, it makes perfect sense to have Teferi in this deck. Had to have Icy Manipulator in as a shadow of the past. It's always been one of the first cards, if I remember correctly, that tapped anything down for a mana cost. So just a bit of nostalgia having this in here for me. Monstrosity of the Lake comes in from our Lord of the Rings set. Into the battlefield you may pay 5. If you do, tap all creatures your opponents control, then put a stun counter on each of them. So yes, it's basically 9 mana. You're probably not going to have anything left to get extra bits and pieces off here, but wow, putting a stun counter on everything probably means you win the game very quickly. Timmin I've mentioned. Disciple of the Ring, you can exile an instant or sorcery you don't need from your graveyard anymore to do the whole tap a creature or pump it up or whatever you want to do. So, you know, tap a creature, costs you 2. Icefall Regent just is another nice flyer. It's kind of got Persuado Ward now with, you know, spells your opponent's cost at target. Icefall Regent costs 2 more to cast. I don't know why they haven't edited it to Ward yet. Maybe there's a reason I don't understand. If there is, let me know in the comments down below. I'd appreciate it. Yossi comes in, and when Yossi dies, you get to make a player skip their untap step and tap 5 permanents they control. So, yep, okay. And Aboshan, Cephalid Emperor. This one's quite fun. 3 blue mana. Ignore the whole Cephalid thing. It's the only one in the deck. But it's 3, 2, 4, and 6 mana to get into play, so it's expensive. That's the first point, and you need to keep it alive. But for 3 blue mana, you get to tap down everything on the board. Okay, it taps your own stuff as well, because unless you've got your flyers out, you know, like Icefall Regent, for example. However, it doesn't say it's sorcery speed. It just do it at the end, at someone's end step before your turn. You tap all their creatures down. Hopefully, you've got some spare mana flowing around. So you'll get a few 4/4s or some +1/+1s around. You go into your turn, you untap everything, and you swing in. And it's a really nice way of getting rid of, yeah, well, just alpha striking, basically, to my mind. So hence why it's here. Consecrated Sphinx just helps us draw cards, and again, yeah, it flies. Frost Titan taps something down, doesn't untap when it enters and it attacks, and basically it's got Persuado Ward for 2. Approach of the Second Sun gives us another win condition that we may need. Ancient Gold Dragon gives us some fairies that we can block with that fly and help with opposition. Wherever it's gone now, there it is. Hence why it's here. We've got Kiora, who Best to See God, gives us an 8/8 Kraken. Obviously, if we've got Anointed Procession out, we get 2 8/8 Krakens. And then we get to tap all non-land permanents and opponent controls, and they don't untap. And then we get to gain control of target opponent controls, untap it. Okay. Ojutai is another one that can probably go away, but it does do a little bit of synergy with Icefall Regent. Has flying, has vigilance. Whenever it attacks, tap target non-land permanent opponent controls. It doesn't untap, so yeah, okay. A little bit expensive way of tapping things. Ancient Silver Dragon gives us a whole load of cards and no maximum hand size. And Tidal Force. At the beginning of each upkeep, you may tap or untap target permanent. So maybe every upkeep, if you've cast this, you can pay 1 and get a 4/4 through to your turn, which is quite nice. Last couple of cards in the deck. Portal Phyrexia gives us a little bit of control for the board. As you notice, I'm not playing Rift, I'm not playing Wrath of God or anything like that, so we are relying a little bit heavily on Portal to Phyrexia once we can get there. Gadwick, whenever we cast a blue spell, lets us tap a permanent opponent controls. So, cast a blue spell. If it's an instant, you're paying an extra couple just to make sure we can get the extra bonus off Hylda. And Secure the Wastes. Really here for if we've got opposition in play, I will be honest about it. You're going to try and cast it at the game before your upkeep, so you can get all the warrior tokens and tap everything down. So if someone's end step, cast Secure the Waste, hopefully with opposition in play, hopefully with Anointed Procession in place, you get double whatever you sink into the X value. But at the end of the day, it's nice little, here's a bomb of things you've all got to deal with, let's do it. So that's it. That's my take on Hylda for today. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you noticed that during the video I moved my camera over, and there should be a subscribe button here somewhere. There, hopefully. I'm hoping. I don't know. Hopefully here. There you go. Subscribe button. Please hit it. Help me out. 238 as I record this. 2 videos coming tomorrow, just to keep you happy. Deck tech's going to be slightly delayed tomorrow. It's going to come up at about 3 o'clock in the morning UK time. There's another video coming out at midnight, which is just, well, you'll find out tomorrow. I'm not going to talk about it now. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully hit the subscribe button. You want to see me play this, come and check out. I've got a link in the description down below for my Twitch. Come and join me over there. Give me a follow over there. And then you'll see me play this sometime soon. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye.